Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing 1854. Now we are in green, so it's phase 3. There's still one 3 train available and we go into the second operating round of this set. The private mountain railroads already paid out. So now we go again here to the miners, and I'm pretty sure that the 1 trains will only operate one more time. So yeah, it's kind of interesting if the other companies will manage to get, or if the miner companies will manage to get a 2 train or not. The presidents are not allowed to help, and the miners are not obliged to have a train. So if they don't have a train and they don't have the money to get a train, they simply won't run anymore. I mean, they could of course buy from other companies. So maybe a major company could buy them a more advanced train, and then they simply buy that for $1 or something. Okay, now the 1 will make a pretty good run. They have now 2 trains. That's pretty impressive. So they can run from here. So the first train can basically go... okay, the first train will only make $40, I guess. And then it's 50, 60, 90, 100, 110. That's really not bad. Okay, here the 4 bought for all the money the 1 plus from this company, from the 1. So there's enough money in here now. If they can run this train one more time, and I'm pretty sure they will be able to buy a 2 plus, and then this player has the option to run both companies even longer, basically until the first 5 train is purchased. So that is kind of cool for him. So finally, company number 6 managed to have the money from this train trade here to place an 80. He can place a tile here now. So my basic idea was to make a connection between the 5 and the 6. That would be nice. But I think that the 5 will not be able to run for a long time anymore anyway. They will probably have one more run before the 1 train rusts, and then the 5 is out of the game. They just don't have enough money, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense to save them or something. The routes aren't that great anyway. So I might actually place this tile in a way that I can make a connection here, and we'll see. Maybe then that helps me more. So I think that's what I want to do. One more thing, and I forgot that when I bought that train here, the 1 plus with the major company, the share value changed. It was here before, and when you buy a train, you can see that here the share value goes up. So I forgot that last turn, but I corrected that. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna place a tile here for $80, and then I'm gonna buy me a 2 plus train for 120. There we go. Now let's see which tile we want. Okay, so this was pretty much my only option here. So now this guy makes 10 more bucks, which is obviously ridiculous. But eventually now I'm gonna have the option to kind of cross the river here and then we'll see what happens. There's of course the threat that the 3 will do a connection here first, and then kind of stuck here, which isn't good. So I can only hope that one of the others helps me, because as company number 6, obviously I'm the last to operate. But even then I could still kind of go like this and maybe eventually place a tile here and then kind of go this way. So I think it's okay. Okay, so now we're done with the minors, and we start again with the SD, the Zutban. They have now 3 trains. So I guess they're going to make a lot of money here. First they get the money from the mail run, and then we can start, and we wanted to build that tile here for 50 bucks, so that we can, and also lay a tile, a token here, so that we can hit Wien twice. So that's not cheap. Oh boy, that's 150 bucks. Holy shit, that's exactly what's left here. So the company is now completely robbed. No more money in there. Without the mail contract, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So now, but we make a lot of money now. We run the first train for 80 bucks. The second train runs for 60. Yeah, like that and like that. So that's 140. And then we run another train for 90. So it's 230. That's solid. Okay, the Alzberger did operate for 200 bucks. They can run 3 trains, 1, 2, and the other one here. So that was also pretty good. And they have money left, and they're gonna buy a 2+ train for the Kernhoferbahn. So that is 120 bucks. There we go. So, and next is the Alzberger, and they have a 2 and a 3 train. If they want to run that, they have to place a token here or a tile here to get an additional location. So they're gonna spend the 50 bucks. And I guess they take simply this one. And now they can run for, well, one train can run like this for 40, 70, 100, 130, and 140. And of course they're also going to pay out. The Salzburger Bahn, they will also buy a train, this one here, for 120 bucks. The last 2+ train. The company would have enough money next turn to buy it, but the problem is if someone else buys it, then the next one would be a 3+, and that would mean the company would not have enough money and they would sit there without a train and a lot of money, so that would kind of suck. So I guess I'm gonna buy this train now, and in the end it doesn't really make any difference if I buy it from the bank pool or from the company. I lose a little bit of share value though, that is a fact. My share value will drop down a little bit, but I think that is not terribly bad. Because if you sell a train, the share value drops. But I want to make sure that I get that second train, and that not this company here, for the Nordtiroler, buy it for this one here. That would really suck. Now the Nordtiroler had the idea building a connection here, and then they could have run the 2 train from Brenner to Innsbruck and then the 3 train here from Innsbruck to Zurich. But the problem is this is super expensive. If they want to build a tunnel here to avoid the dot, and then they need to build a tile, place a tile here, this whole thing costs 220 bucks. I'm not even sure if I still have that. Well, I don't. And by the way, these 2 guys would get 20 bucks for the mail run. It's so easy to forget that. So kind of makes sense to pay that out at the very start of the turn, maybe together with the privates. I think then it would be easier to remember. Okay, so yeah, as I said, it's about 220 bucks. This is ridiculous expensive, and it seems I can't do it, and I don't want to do it. So therefore, and you know, actually I forgot, I wanted to buy back the train here for a couple of bucks. Yeah, it's too late for that now. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so I wonder if I should still allow that. Yeah, I think I want to do that. The company 6, they wanted to buy back the train. I'm going to do that for 5 bucks. That means that the value will drop 1 space, but that was the whole idea. I wanted to bring the money in here for the 2+ train, and then I want to buy back the train. The problem is I cannot really run it. So it doesn't really matter. I only have, I couldn't even run it. I cannot run 2 trains. That sucks. But okay. Yeah, well, you know what? I don't do that. Let's leave it like this. I cannot run the 2 trains, so who cares? Okay, so the idea is now, instead of going this way, I think I'm going to upgrade this and then simply go this way probably, or maybe this way here. I mean, that is 70 bucks, but it's still cheaper than yeah, it's still cheaper than just spending a fortune here. So let's see. That's a bad one. That's not the one we want. Probably this one then. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I could even build a tunnel here now for 100 bucks. That's kind of an interesting option. If I do that, I can run 2 trains immediately. I can run both trains. And in the end, I just save about 30 bucks. I mean, it's possible that this guy lays the tile, but he might not be that interested in doing so. So you know what? I think I want to do that. I'm going to spend another 100 bucks. And I'm going to place a tunnel like this. I could also do it like this, but I think it doesn't matter. And then I might even consider placing a token. This seems to be a pretty important, maybe not, it's hard to tell. But then I could run a train here, the 3 train and the 2 train here. That seems pretty good. I think I want to do that. So we're going to go in here. for another 40 bucks. And now I can really run my 2 trains well. So we got the 2 train running here for 70 and the 3 train for, well, that's 60, that's 100. So I'm running for 170. That is pretty good. So all my companies are now really not in a good shape. If anybody, but I mean, most of them have, all of them have 1 3 train, but they're pretty much all out of money, more or less. Maybe the 4 Alzberger is in the best position right now. And if anybody buys the 4 train, they all struggle quite a bit. Okay, so this is now the end of this operating round. And we go into the next stock round. And yeah, we'll probably see new companies coming up. At least I could easily imagine that. So let's see what the people have. So let's see, this guy up here, he's doing pretty good. He's sitting on 325. He is already pretty much out of the game. That's 220. That's not good. He also has, it's kind of interesting, he has 60% of shares. He has only 50, but he has better working miners. So maybe he's not that far behind in the end. This guy is sitting on 385, so that is really good. And he's holding already 80%. So yeah, that is 8 shares. So, and this guy is sitting on 407 with also 8 shares. So yeah, we can already clearly see that these guys are really doing well. His problem is that he invested a lot in the minor companies. He owns 2, but they perform really poorly. And that's, yeah, that's the big issue here. The companies are all in pretty bad shape. Maybe the best one is the 4 Alzberger, but every other company is not doing great. Okay, so let's see. We start with this guy. Well, what's the plan? He doesn't have the money to open another company. If he sells this share of the Zutban, he might just have it. But you gotta ask yourself, is this such a clever idea to buy, to start another company on a really low value? Probably not. And that's all I could afford right now. So, on the other hand, it's the Zutban is at the point where it will possibly pay out once more, but then it's gone. Because I'm expecting the 4 trains to come out in the next operating round. I mean, you never know, but yeah. And they might even swallow. So, you know, they can swallow quite a bit. So maybe that's something we can expect. So, I don't know, maybe it's a good time to get rid of the Zutban here, up here. Tough call. So here's the thing. Out there are not that many great companies out there at the moment. There's not a lot to buy. I mean, I could of course invest in the Alzberger or the Nordtiroler, but that doesn't sound too promising either. So I guess what I want to do is I'm going to buy maybe another one of the 4 Alzberger. But then again, you know, it's a tough choice. You know, actually, I think I'm going to invest in my own company. It's not that bad. It actually ran pretty well. And if at some point all the companies only have a 3 train left, which will pretty soon happen, I guess, then it has a good route from Munich to the Brenner. This isn't so bad, and it's better than what these guys have. And there are no more shares available here, so I think it's fine. I'm gonna buy this share here for for 142. And maybe I can afford another option because it's pretty cheap. So yeah, I think this guy actually wants to start a new company. He sells the 20% of the Zutban, which brings down, oops, just like that. And the thing is, here selling shares really hurts because it brings you away from this additional income source. So it can be really painful if at the start people buy your shares, and then when you're not performing that good anymore, they sell them like in other games. And it also sucks in other games, but here it's even worse because here you get more money if you cross that threshold, but now it's not going to happen anymore. So I get 162 bucks for this thing, and I'm pretty sure I might be able now to start my company at the value of 93 at the very top here. So let's see, I need 50%. Now the question is, do I want to do that? I think I need money, so I think it makes sense to do it. So let's see, I hold right now 1, 2, 3, 4 certificates. So that's also interesting. I can only buy 4 additional certificates. That's pretty crazy, but it's a fact. So, let's see. But okay, you have. I mean, the presidency alone is 40%, so it's hard to go to the limit here. I hold here about 500 bucks. Yeah, 525 bucks. So let's see if I wanna start it for 93 or 87. If I can afford an additional share, I might start it a little lower. I got to calculate that. Okay, I mean the choice is pretty obvious. The Königin Elisabeth Bahn is already totally connected, so therefore, for 87 bucks, I'm gonna start it. That will allow me to buy 60%. So yeah, let's place that here and the other one here at the par value. And now I gotta spend 4 times 87. That's 320. 348 if I'm not mistaken. So the 4th player here, he also wants to start a company. He has 400 bucks. He can also sell a share here of the 4 Alzberger, and then he has a lot of money, possibly even enough to start it at 93 and still buy 6 shares. I'm not totally sure, but if he buys that thing, then he's sitting on, that's about 160. Then he has 560 bucks. That's close. 560, kind of like 568. Oh my God. Let's see, if it would be 90, he would have needed 540. And then 18? Yeah, it should be enough. It should be enough to start it at 93 and buy 6 shares. So that would be cool. Then he would be the first to operate. Does he want to do that? Does he want to buy the last 2 train? Does he want to buy the first 3 train? These are a lot of, or the first 4 train. Tough decisions here. I'm really not sure. But this is not my main problem now. I'm more considering what to do here. Because, you know, I basically have the choice now between 3 companies that are left. I could start the KR here. I could start the last one here, the F, that's the FJ, the last one in Wien, or I could start the KT in Klagenfurt. Now let's see, I mean the KT looks pretty terrible. It's pretty far away from everything. I have the Zutban, so they could work together, and I think within 2 turns they would kind of be connected. So it wouldn't be that bad. Still, the problem is that the KE will place a token here. I think that is already for sure. So they have access to Graz and this southern route here, which means that it will be very hard for the KT to get to Wien. And that's where you want to be, right? So, I mean, they still have Venice. That's not so bad. That gives a bit of money, but it's not as good as Wien. By far not as good, actually. It goes up to 50, but okay. Anyway, so they want to go to Wien, but this is going to be hard. They have to try to go around somehow. Maybe kind of like this and then from behind, but the problem is that we have a dot here and you cannot get rid of the dots. You can only get rid of the double dots. So, not a very good position here. The other option would be Linz. Possibly better, you know. I mean, the problem is this thing here upgrades to a K. So before brown comes, it's not going to be easy for me to get here too. I could try something like this or so, but it's not really great. Here I have to go through the mountains to have a connection here, and this part is already blocked. So I also don't know if that is much better. Eventually, what remains is this one, but again, you know, I can upgrade this, and then this is going to be one city, but if there's a token here, it's not that good. It seems like I'm just in trouble. I don't see a really good company left here. Okay, so here's the thing. On a 1 to 5, I think I want to start this one. And on a 6, I'm going to start this one. Okay, I think this one is clearly better. It's not good, but it is better. And this one is pretty disastrous. You have everywhere. It's completely surrounded by one-dotters, except, I mean, you can go this way. But then it has to place dots first. It has to lay a tile here. Then it has to place the dots here. And then it has to upgrade all that crap before it can actually start to make some serious money. And he's still not in Vienna at that point, and who knows what's going on there. So, yeah, I think it's a better choice to do it. And to start the Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn. So my only question is now, for what value do I want to do that? Do I want to operate before this guy and buy that last 3 train, or do I say, hey, I'm gonna start immediately with a 4 train? I don't know. I mean, the point is, I probably want to buy 2 trains, and I probably don't want to buy 2 4 trains. So it might be well in my interest, especially because here I cannot run terribly great trains anyway. So it could be in my interest to say I want to go with a 3 and a 4 train. So I might go first. I think I want to do that. So this guy is in quite some trouble. He is sitting on right now 50%. So everybody else has more shares. I mean, okay, well, we got to say people bought some stuff and all, but still, he's not doing that great. I think he had the least shares. So he could sell the 10% share and then start another company really high. Also maybe at, I don't know, 82 or 87. It's not that high. But the problem is, if he does that, he will have very little shares, and the shares he has will not generate a lot of income. So I think at that point in the game, he has a chance to catch up a little bit, because these 2 guys are starting new companies. So that means they have to sell shares and they will not make money in the next operating round. So I think it might be a good idea to invest in already existing companies where I know, or where I can be sure that they will run the next turn. So the only question is, what are the most profitable runs? I think at that point, I'm going to definitely try to buy my option and get a 60% share here. My company isn't doing bad. Okay, so we're at the end of the stock round. The Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn and the Kaiserin Elisabeth Bahn were floated. And well, let's see, this guy has now 4, 6, 7, 9 shares, and these two, but this one is crap. So, well, I mean, maybe we can count these 2, the private, and that one is another one, so it's 10, and then it's kind of 11. That's what I think we can say. This guy is sitting on 2, 6, 8, 10, 11. Oh, actually, that's not true. These 2 are not. This one is the good one. So he has kind of 12 shares, and this guy also kind of like 12. We have here 6, 10, 12, 13, and here we have 6, 12. Well, that is pretty much another share. 13. Well, that one isn't so great though. 14. I'm not sure if this company survives. I mean, he can always buy, of course, with the Kaiser Franz Josef. He could buy a 3+ train and then sell it into the company. It's probably worth it. It probably is. I mean, you can make a pretty good run here eventually. And he gets 50% of it. So I guess it's probably worth it. Okay, so let's go into the first OR, and now we still have 2 ORs now. So the miners start operating, and the one had the option for a good move. It laid a tile here, made the connection down here, and that gives them now 40 additional bucks here. And they also laid a token here, which cuts off the 6, and now they really have a very good route for their 2+ train. Just amazing. The 2 wasn't doing so well. They are now cut off from here. So basically all they can do is run this area here. They also now have a 2+ train. They thought about placing a tile here. But, you know, the thing is, that's 70 bucks. And all you get in addition is 20 for a couple of turns. I mean, it might not be bad, but I don't think it's worth it. And I prefer to buy the 2 train for higher value from these guys for well, it was quite a bit of money. And by the way, I shouldn't forget that they sold a train now, and so did they. So that means the SB lose a bit of share value, and so did the Alzberger. Okay. And so then we come to company 3, and they are really cut off here. There's not a lot they can do anymore. Also, they don't have the money. They could lay the $70 here and then run their 1+ train one last time for pretty good income. But that helps the others more, because once this train is gone, there's not a lot left for them to do. I mean, on the other hand, I could still buy a train from these guys. The question is it worth it? That is really hard to answer. I could buy, theoretically, a 3+ train for $160 with the Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn, and then, but that's the question, what then? I mean, I cannot even hit 3 spaces. I could upgrade this to a city and kind of screw the others a little bit. Maybe that's an option. But then I have to lay that tile. Cost me $70. I really don't know if it's something I want to do. Maybe I can kind of negotiate with someone else. For example, there's the guy here, the owner of the 5. He also is not in the best position. Maybe we can try to do a merger or something at some point. I'm not sure from which time the mergers are allowed. I gotta check that. So mergers are only possible from phase 5. So when this train falls apart, the company has nothing to do, basically. I don't know. It's a tough choice. Is it really worth paying the $160 to run this route here, which is about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 90, and maybe a couple of extra bucks here? Maybe it is. It's not only an investment of $160, I also have to spend the 70 here, so it's about $230 that I have to invest. And I run for 40, 70, 110. That's a tough choice. I really don't know. It was really hard to I got no clue. I think there's a lot of money in the Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn. So another option is, for example, what about the mail contract? This is also an expenditure I could take, but I don't have to. Instead, I might want to invest in this. Hard to tell. On the other hand, if you see it that way, the money I'm making out of this, as a player, is quite significant. I mean, I'm making for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 ORs. I'm making kind of like $80. That's not so bad. We're talking about $400 there that I would not make otherwise. I mean, okay, once the fives are in play, we could kind of convert this into a local and then we can start operating. But still, you know, I really got that feeling in the end it's probably a pretty good idea to make that investment. Even though it's expensive, but for me as a player, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to roll here on a 1 to 5. I'm going to do that. And yeah, so okay. So I'm going to spend the 70 bucks. Oh, come on. You know, there's one thing about these new chips that I don't like that much. They are more round here than the old ones. They were more, you know, they were more edgy. So it's much easier for them to fall down here in the front, which makes it a little harder to sort them in here. That is the only issue I have with them. Otherwise, I totally love them. So we finally make this connection here. And yeah, now I can run my one train for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's still not that good, but it's something. There we go. And I'm probably not going to be able to run next turn because the one will rust. And sadly, I cannot buy. Yeah, nobody already bought the 3+ train. So I have to wait one turn, it seems. So the 4 now probably does the best run any one of these miners will do anytime. They made an upgrade here. They have now a 1 and a 2 train. So they can run for 10, 20, 30, 40, 70, 80. That's 110. And another 30, so 140, 150, 160, 170. I doubt we see another company running for that amount of money. But maybe later, we don't know. But 170 is really awesome. So while this player isn't doing that great from his shares, at least his companies are performing now very, very well, his miners. So that's 85, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Yep. And of course, that also means that there's a lot of money going into the miners now, and that's also a good thing. So then we see company number 5, and they're screwed. I don't see any future for them. So they run for 40 bucks, and that's it. Yeah. They have a little bit of money left, but they cannot even that connection does not really help them. So yeah, I think they simply run for 40 bucks and that's it. That is really bad. Now the 6 can operate for 90, and of course it's a real shame that the 1 did block here. Otherwise they could have taken all this, but doesn't work. Eventually they will be able to lay a token here, which then will give them this here, but that is also just 10 more bucks, so it's really not that great. Okay, so it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 90. They have a 2+ train. Yeah, for a 2+ train, running for 90 is not that awesome. And it's 45. There's one thing that I want to change though. I think I want to upgrade this to a city. And that means I will make less money. But the reason why I want to do this is that this guy, the player who controls the 1 and the 4, both of the companies, he makes 30 more bucks if this is not a city, because he can take all these dots down here. But I make only 10 more bucks. So that means per operating round, this guy with his companies earns in his hand, he gets basically exactly 30 bucks in addition, because he runs 2 companies, while I only make 5 more bucks. Because, yeah, it's half the value, right? So he makes 6 times the money as I do, and so I have to cut this off. Otherwise, it would be just stupid. That means that I'm going to lose 5 bucks here. No, that's not him. The player with the 6 will lose. The 6 will lose 5 bucks, and the player also will. But I think taking that hit or that little loss is definitely worth to kind of put an end to this massive money that this guy makes. That's a little bit sad, you know. I mean, that's a thing. If you play solitaire, it's simply fun to make big runs. And then doing these kind of things is a little painful, because it's just more enjoyable to say, great, this company runs for 200 bucks or something. But now that's not going to happen anymore. You see the new companies. The Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn, the FJ, starts here. So let's give them their token. And then my idea was to basically run a route to Prague at the moment. So I gotta spend 50 bucks for the terrain here. Let's see. This one looks reasonable, I guess. I could also take, no, does it matter? What's more interesting for me? Maybe that doesn't work. I could place this one. Then I would lose the connection to this, but eventually I will be able to go in this direction. I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I don't see me running 2 trains in the near future anyway. Actually, I think I want to go with this one. So let's roll a die for that. On a 1 to 4. Nope, we take the other one. I don't think it does really matter, but as I said, sometimes I like a little bit of randomness in my games when I play solitaire. And yeah, who cares? It's not that important, as I said. So like this, and then we're gonna go like this, I guess. So okay, we need a train. So I think the idea is to buy, well, first of all, I want to buy the 1 plus and allow the 3, the reason why, and allow the 3 to buy a 3 plus train for 160 bucks. Now this time, the reason why I want to do that, why I don't do it the other way around, I could buy the 3+ train with them, but then I would lose share value when the small company buys the train from me. I don't know if that is terribly bad, but I don't want to do it. So I guess it's fine. So and it really doesn't matter. So now I don't gain. Usually I would go up now when I buy from another company, but I can't. So let's see, they're gonna need $160. So right now they're sitting on 40, so I gotta spend 120 to give them access to this train. Okay, so now we need trains, and this one will go away now because now I'm gonna buy a 3 and a 4 train. But before I do so, I might consider buying a train from the Zutban. Now, that's kind of interesting. Now I gotta think about that. What makes more sense? If I buy the train from the Zutban and transfer the money into here, or if I do it the other way around. Because in this way I could also kind of change the share value of the Zutban, right? And that's where things get interesting. Does that help me a little bit? Share value would go up here. Maybe that's not such a bad idea. If the Zutban buys a train from them instead of buying the train themselves. So here's the thing, if the Zutban buys from the other guys, the share value will go up here, and then they're gonna pay out twice in this turn, and then at the end of the turn I'm gonna get $91 per share. And otherwise I would only get 89. I'm making a couple of bucks here, so yeah, might be worth it. It's not a big deal, not a big difference. And for the others, it also isn't. Okay, you could argue they're not here, instead they're down there. Is that a big difference? I don't know. I really don't know. It's also only, a couple of bucks here. I guess I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna buy the train with these guys. And then okay. So that means I gotta spend now $520. Oh gosh. Okay, and already there's not that much money left from my $900, only $250. So now the question is, do I want to buy a mail contract or not? Is it worth buying a golden mail contract for $200? I don't think so. We're gonna see, I don't know, I mean, there are the 5 trains, they will come into play pretty soon for 530. At that point, I want to maybe be able to buy some kind of cheap train, or cheap permanent train. So maybe I need my cash soon and not in 4 operating rounds or something. Actually I think it could be worth it. I'm going to roll a die, and on a 1 to 4, I'm going to go with the big one. Yeah, okay. So we're going to spend $200 for the golden mail contract. Of course, it's always also kind of tricky to buy that contract well in the mid-game. You're making less money. The guys who buy it right at the start, for them it's cool. If they can afford a big one, they are really making a good amount of money. This company is pretty healthy, and I think it's also part because of this cool contract here. It's the company that is doing best right now, and yeah, they're in a good shape here. But they also didn't pay any terrain. That's that's definitely another aspect. Okay, so now we're pretty much out of money, and yeah, that's it. We need $50 to lay this tile. Well, that's what we earn from the mail contract, so we're gonna be fine. But I don't have any big plans for these guys right now. I want to run this single train from Prague to Wien, and basically my main idea was to bring an additional train into the Zutban. Apart from that, the FJ is cut off anyway, pretty much from anything here. So now it's the KE, and interestingly, because there is no connection here between the KF or the FJ, and because they laid this tile here, there's actually no threat that someone will move in here and kind of block this. So I don't really need a token there. I'm not even sure if I want to place it. So maybe not now. So instead, and you know, oops. Nobody can upgrade this city at the moment, so there is also no danger. And this city would upgrade to another type, so there is no danger that some other company can magically move in there and just cut me off. It's just not going to happen at that point. So, I think, yeah, now I have to think about what trains I want to buy, and I think I'm going to go with 2 4 trains. And of course we have to remove all the yellow trains now. I also think I'm going to go with a golden mail contract here on a 1 to 5. Yeah, that makes, I think it makes sense here. So there we are. And now the company is also pretty much broke, but that's not so bad. And I forgot that, of course, pretty soon they get some additional shares, and then more capital might go in there. Okay, so they paid out, and this is it. So now we come to the Zutban, and they only have a single train for now, so I don't know, they probably make an upgrade here and then run that train. Now here was one thing, now it's a little late for that. I realized I made a mistake here. I don't know if I still want to give them, but it's okay, I guess. So my idea was to build another tunnel here like that, and then I could run a 3 train like this, and I could run a 4 train like this. Now this ain't working anymore now, because what I should have done instead, I should have bought a 2 train from these guys over here, and then for another $100, and then they could have done this, but then I would not have had the money to buy the golden one anymore. I don't think, I mean, it kind of sucks. That's the problem, you know. I stepped away from the game, I had a night's sleep, and now I couldn't remember all that stuff anymore. So I really don't know. Should I fix that? I could try to simply give $100 over here, and then give them only a silver one. But maybe there is, but I don't know, if I run 1 2 3 and then 1 2 3, I cannot really run that 4 train anymore, which kind of sucks. Yeah, that's not good. So yeah, you know, I think I want to follow that plan. So I'm going to take, instead of my golden one, I'm going to take a silver one here. It's a pretty expensive move, isn't it? I mean, I could also simply... I know. Bringing the 4 train, bringing the 3 train here and keeping the 4 train doesn't really help me, because I also don't have the option to run the 4 train here in a reasonable way. It all kind of sucks here. It really does. You know, I think I'm not gonna do that. I mean, mistakes happen, and I'm gonna leave it like this. It's a bit of a shame, but I think at that point it's okay. We're gonna leave it like this, and I don't really know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So now I can only, I don't know. I mean, eventually I can build down here or something, but that will take me a while, of course. I could also build here. At least $10, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, I bought the 3 train for the Zutban, and that means they will now go up here, and the other company will go down here. Okay. And they ran for 120, and they paid this out, but they only had a single train. So the SB is now operating, and they placed a token here, and they can upgrade this, by the way. Could be helpful. And that is really bad news for the Alzberger, because they are now cut off from this whole western part of the map. There is this big, in this map you got this big choke point here, where you got basically these 2 companies that already have their starting tokens there. And then, you know, if you want to get through this, you really gotta be creative or simply fast. And this guy wasn't. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very hard to he could try to kind of like, I don't know. I mean, there's this very expensive way of going down like this, for example. That is an option. But it's very, very hard. I don't know if it makes even sense trying. It's going to be super expensive to do, and it's going to take time. So yeah, that brings him in a really, really bad position. He made a big mistake. What he should have done is he should have placed a tunnel here, and he could have done that. And then he would have been first, and he could have placed a token here, and everything would have been fine. He would have access to this, and he would have been totally okay, but he missed to do that, and now it's just bad. He's just fucked here. He had the money to do it. Wow, that was a stupid mistake. Okay, so I guess we're at the end of this video now. Overall, I mean, these 2 companies here, they have an income of $100 now with their single 3 train, and I don't see a lot of additional stuff happening. And I kind of ask yourself at that point, wow, where did all the money go? You know, I mean, they started with kind of like, I don't know, $800 or something. So how did that happen? Well, the answer is, of course, they had a lot to spend for terrain. You know, the 200 here for the tunnels, and this guy also spent 100 here for the tunnel and all. And they helped their miners. Yeah, and they bought a mail contract, and now there's no more money there. even if they swallow, it's not going to be enough to buy a 4 train, which really sucks. They're sitting here on, I don't know, like $100. And for a 4th train, they would need 220. So they had to swallow twice to get a 4 train. Boy, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, they're in a really, really bad position. Right now, there's not a lot they can do. They can just run. Eventually, they're going to cross that line, but that will happen not in this set of ORs. In the next set, it might. It probably will, and then things might look a little different. But they're going to have a couple of hard ORs and basically no real perspective right now. And if they have the money to buy a 4 train, then that 4 train would be probably gone. Maybe they can somehow get a cheap permanent train, which kind of brings them in the safe zone. But, you know, it just shows that these 2 players are in a really bad position. Maybe this guy can profit from his 2 solid miners. But, you know, this move here from this player with a 6 company, that also reduced the value quite a bit. We're going to see an upgrade here too. And then these locals will not operate that amazingly anymore. Okay, so hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.